Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Sword of Damocles is hanging over my head, ladies and gentlemen. Pete tells me that we have, 2 bars left on the battery?
Yes, I should have had it charged.
Now, somehow I have managed to lose the spare battery, which we did rely upon. So this court of public opinion may be a slightly shorter one. Anyway, Pete, just let me know when you think we've reached desperation point.
Okay.
It's a lovely time of the year. I think it's a beautiful time of the year. Every year, maybe it's just me, but every year I seem to think that the decorations in the city don't shape up to the way they were last year or the year before, or particularly 10 or 20 years ago. People seem to put more effort in to the decorations in years gone by. One of the things I really miss, the wonderful people who would ring up my radio show and talk about their Christmas house decorations. Now, you can understand shops doing it and putting in elaborate displays. David Jones and Meyer, they used to be sort of, traffic stoppers. Don't think they are anymore. But then you have people who decorate their own homes, and they do it for Christmas, and they spend half the year planning it. I don't know how much it costs, but it would be really very expensive to do it. With the cost of electricity, maybe they're low voltage or they're different sort of lights, I don't know. But I tell you what, people who go to the trouble to decorate their homes for Christmas, I take my hat off to you. I take my Akubra off to you. Still sitting over there. A disturbing incident involving one of our warships, which you would have heard about, the HMAS Toowoomba, which, by the way, is Aboriginal for 2 swamps. Funny name for a warship. HMAS 2 swamps. And the fly is back. I think the fly loves us. I really do. Nothing mischievous about it. The provocative behaviour of a Chinese warship resulting in, there were only minor injuries to the sailors who were trying to free a foul propeller, which meant, of course, that as the propeller was fouled, the ship was dead in the water, a sitting duck. One would have thought that it would have been appropriate for the Chinese ship to hove to and offer the Australians some assistance. We are friends, and we are in friendly waters. Come aboard. See what assistance you can offer. Anyway, Anthony Albanese won't say if he brought this matter up with Xi Jinping. I think the Prime Minister is a bit of a wimp. He wants to be a popular international statesman. Man of the people? Not so much. I know it, he knows it. The media remains quite silent and a cheer squad for this guy. I don't get it. The Chinese have hit back saying they obeyed the law of the sea, which I don't think is open to too much interpretation. Then, of course, there was that incident going back a little while involving a Chinese warship shining a laser into the cockpit of a surveillance aircraft. This is all in the South China Sea. But this latest event was in the economic zone claimed by Japan. International waters, by and large. I don't think the Chinese have got a foot to stand on. I think we can say that the People's Republic well, the People's Republican Army and Navy have got a bit of form in this area. Now, is it that the Labor government wants the NDIS to grow to the point where it will explode? Seems like it. Or perhaps their philosophy is to get as many people as possible on welfare? The major problem at the moment is that people claiming to be autistic are being accepted readily on the NDIS. I don't know whether that's for life or what the financial implications are, but pretty significant. This shows us how much of a sitting duck this whole country is when it comes to welfare. It's now revealed that it is very easy to get a diagnosis of autism, a passport. Here's your ticket. Now this is the kicker. The number of Australians claiming to be autistic is twice the number of people diagnosed in the UK, America, and Europe. God. And it took all of this for anyone to notice. Bill Shorten's words echo, the NDIS is in the hands of organised crime. Bill, where were you looking when this happened? What were you doing while they were taking over? And why doesn't this represent a catastrophic failure, ministerial failure, which would cause your resignation? This blowout is intolerable. $40 billion, and you put that with the $40 billion that goes to the Aboriginal industry, and then you've got the invalid support pension, the disability support pension. This wonderful, totally ideal, unaffordable ideal. The NDIS was designed, I think, for about 20,000 people when it was designed on the back of a table napkin or a drink coaster, wherever it happened. Now pushing up through 110,000 people, ladies and gentlemen. One-third of that number claim to be autistic. And as I have said to you for the last, I don't know, 7 years, 8 years, going back to the Rudd era, which is when they came up with this, totally out of control. How can a group of people present themselves for election when we know these guys are the architects of the NDIS failure? And the minister in charge admits that organised crime has taken over. And the government won't sack Bill, and the media won't be critical. Won't even ask a question. I think it's amazing. 40% of our kids are vulnerable, by the way, and not to autism, and not to rapid strain injury, or whatever they used to call that thing, or any of the other things that seem to come and go with the speed of light. 40% of our kids can't swim. 4 kids in every 10. Now, I don't know, maybe it's the cost. Maybe it's too difficult to find a learn to swim school or pool. Why don't the schools do something about that? They're more interested in whacking hats and T-shirts, even when it's raining. they worry more about sunshine than they do about survival in the water. And anyway, why is it so expensive to teach kids to swim? Why? 850 hours of ambulance ramping in 1 week. And a report by the Australian College of General Practitioners, which we'll get to later. In fact, I think we'll talk about it more on Friday. Pretty amazing for future healthcare. Seems 1/3 of general practitioners want to quit. They're looking to retire early. They're burnt out, tired, underpaid, generally dissatisfied, disillusioned. I think that's what you call socialised medicine. And I did mention to you, how's the battery, Pete?
Yeah, we're going. It's okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I did mention to you, let me mention it to you again, because we've got Thursday and I think something on Friday with more schools going out to demonstrate Free Palestine. And I mentioned earlier in the week that we are allowing the school system to weaponise our children and politicise them and turn them into activists when they can't even read and write. Singapore have banned the flying or the use of any flag other than the national flag of Singapore. Great idea. Should school children be allowed to go out on strike? Today? No. Friday? No. Next week? No. If you want to go out on strike, kids, this is what I'd do if I was the education minister. I would simply say you can do it on Saturday. How many of them would give up their day off to go and do that? I just don't see it. I don't see that happening. Anyway, I don't think they know what they're demonstrating over. I reckon this is all being driven by the lefty teachers. The education system wants to get involved. Their weapon is the kids. If you want to do that with your children at school, set up school debates. Okay, you want to debate the Israeli side, you debate the Palestinian or the Gaza side. Then I think the kids will learn something. They'll have to do some research to find out what the argument is. That's what school should be about. Learning, not demonstrating. Don't weaponize our children. Now, what I want to do, if I can, oh, well maybe that's all right. Maybe I've got, what's the date, Pete?
Oh, 20.
No, I dropped the wrong one. Sorry. Wrong date.
23rd.
Yeah. Happy birthday for having a birthday. Happy wedding anniversary. 23rd. What can I tell you about the day? Oh, it's the feast day of St. Clement, patron saint of stonecutters. Do we have any stonecutters left in the world? Well, you got a patron saint if you're out there cutting stone or stutting cone. What are you doing? And this is another one, actually. It's the feast day also of St. Phileticus, the patron saint of barren women. That's a word you don't hear anymore.
Barren.
Barren. No. Quaint old word. The wonderful Sir James Killen was born on this day in 1923. When he left the Federal Parliament in 1983, he had served for 28 years, and he had served under 8 Prime Ministers, from Sir Robert Menzies to Bob Hawke. First elected in 1955 as the member for Moreton in Queensland, he served as Navy Minister, Defence Minister, Vice President of the Executive Council and Leader of the House. In fact, when he quit, he was the longest-serving Defence Minister in the history of the world. And a wonderful raconteur, just fantastic. I loved talking with him. He was so clever with language. Anyway, 1923. Boris Karloff was born in 1887. Doctor Who was first seen on English television. First Doctor was William Hartnell, who died in 83. Anyway, if you're a Doctor Who fan, I never got that. Did you, Pete?
No, not at all.
Oh, my son, youngest boy, Christopher, lives it. He loves it. He loves the memorabilia. He loves watching the old shows. He goes into the old programs that turn up on YouTube. God. Anyway, to each his own. Bob Hope and Shirley Ross recorded Thanks for the Memory, which stayed with him all his life. That was back in 1938. On this very day, Franco Nero was born. Franco Nero was born in 1941. Okay, well, I guess that would have been Franco, wouldn't it? As in the Spanish Franco. Bobby Lim got married to Dawn Lake in 1953. Harpo Marx was born in New York City in 1888. And apart from the Glenelg tram, which continued to run as a red rattler for a few years, all the trams stopped in Adelaide back in 1958. And believe it or not, having dug up all the rails, scrapped all the overhead wires, demolished the whole thing, they're all back there today. Wouldn't it have been simple just to leave the bloody things where they were back there in 58? No, it's crazy stuff. Anyway, thank you very much for viewing the Court of Public Opinion, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back on Facebook and podcasting next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and of course tomorrow live streaming from the dining room table between 9 o'clock and 12, where I welcome you to ring us, take part in the show. Love to have you at the table. I'm Jeremy Cordeaux, Peter Clayton, and I wish you a very, very good day. Believe in yourself, and goodbye for now.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.